Amen. Today our study is on offense. It's a subject that we all done dealt with one way or another. Um, if we haven't been offended, believe you me, we done offended somebody. But what is offense? The definition of offense is something that outrages the moral or physical senses, the act of an attack, the state of being insulted or morally outraged, a breach of a moral or social code. It's a hindrance or a stumbling block. We understand what a hindrance is, right?
Sort of kind of not really.
Something that keeps you from going forward. Yeah.
Yes. Something that causes us to be stuck. It's a hindrance. A stumbling block is something that that's put in our path to cause us to delay our purpose in life. It's a stumbling block. When we allow the spirit of offense to come in, it becomes a hindrance and a stumbling block to us. It causes us to stumble in our walk with Christ. We become offended and this walk, the whole purpose of this walk is for us to give unto others what Christ then gave to us, right? The word. If you become offended by somebody or something, that stops you from being able to give them. It stops that agape love that we talked about. That love that's unconditional, that love that's out of a pure heart. If somebody offends you or causes you to stumble and later on in life they need something from you, more than likely we're not gonna reach our hand to help them, And that's just human nature. But it shouldn't be in the life of a believer. We shouldn't allow offense to cause us to not do a good deed. The Bible says we don't serve a person evil for because they did us evil. We don't do them evil. We don't do them wrong. So offense is a sin. It's demonic. It's not of God. And it causes us to fall away from the faith.
Because it's like a barrier, it's like a block.
Mm-hmm.
It's blocking.
Yes, yes. And Satan uses bait to lure us into a trap of unforgiveness and hatred. Let's think of some things that offend us.
When some people, politics, a lot of people are offended by politics.
Oh, yes.
Some people are offended by people's beliefs.
Yes.
Their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Their lifestyles.
Yes.
Opinions.
Their opinions, yeah.
Yes. By neglect, if we felt like somebody neglect us, did us wrong, betrayal,
Yes.
we get offended. But politics is a good one, especially like right now. We have so many people in the world that's offended by people who voted for Trump, or people who didn't vote at all. They're offended.
Right. I mean, how do you be mad at someone if you didn't take out the time to vote for them? That's my offense, I guess you would say. You can't be mad and then you want to voice how this person is leaving the country, but you didn't stop him from being put in that place.
Okay, wait.
I don't know. Because even if that, that's like, people will say that, okay, you didn't vote, so you don't have the right to complain. No, you have a right to complain because of the process, because of what's going on. That's what gives you, because you're a citizen, that's what gives you the right to complain. And what we see is, what we see is people think that, so people that were on Hillary's side will be offended if you didn't vote because they assume that if you would have voted, you would have voted for Hillary. You see what I'm saying? So that's what they're actually saying. But we all have a right to, because you look at even if you voted or whatever, what's happening is still happening. You're still being affected by whatever is going on. So that's what gives you the right to voice your opinion about it.
But
You
it
know?
all boils down to, are we justified in being offended?
And most of the time we're not.
We're never
Because
justified
you
in
put
being
judgment
offended.
in there, right? And no one can judge. I mean, you can judge, but is your judgment right? That goes back to something we've already talked about, the judgment.
I think what happens is we take things personal. When we take it
Yeah.
personal, that's how we become offended by it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is not for us to take personal. It's not always personal.
Yeah.
What's going on.
Offense is rooted in pride, the spirit of pride. The reason why we become offended is because we feel like that person shouldn't have betrayed me. Then we go to thinking of all the things we did. I fed that person. I want the money. I did when nobody else was there for them. I was there for that person. And betrayal. We feel they betrayed us. But it's pride. Something in you feel like they shouldn't have. I'm too good for that. With politics and people getting offended with Trump being president, especially when Trump attacked Syria, launched the attack. So many people was full of hatred, towards those that voted for Trump or those that didn't vote at all. But it still don't justify our offense, because offense is a sin. It causes us to sin. It's a hindrance. We can't move forward. Okay, Trump, he's president, so now let's move forward. You can't. You stuck. You stuck in that spot where they announced Trump as the president. You stuck. Shawan, our study is on offense, and I'm going to give you the definition of offense because we had already covered it. Offense is something that outrages the moral or physical senses. The act of attacking, the state of being insulted or morally outraged, a breach of a moral or social code. Offense is a hindrance or a stumbling block. An offense is a sin. If you offend somebody or they offend you and you take it personally, you're sinning. You're in sin. We have all had our feelings hurt at one time or another, right? We have all felt insulted by someone or injustice was done to us. Usually when our feelings are hurt, instead of letting go, resentment begins to build, and that's what offense do. When offense set in, when offense penetrate our heart, we build a wall around us. Because in our mind, I'm not going to let that person hurt me again. Or I'm not going to let nobody that reminds me of that person do that to me again. In my upbringing, I watched my stepdad fight my mom. So as a teenager, I had put in my mind, no man, don't talk to me like that. No man gonna do me like that. I refuse. You see, I built this wall around me. And every man that resembled him, if you raised your voice, I was ready to attack, because offense is like a gun, a trigger. And once it's pulled, it just keeps firing. So I'm ready. I have my bullets and I'm ready to aim, That's what the spirit of offense calls us to do. Without even thinking with a clear mind. All we know is I was hurt and I refuse to be hurt again. The spirit of offense. And that's why it's demonic. Because when the Lord bring you, or with me, when the Lord brought a man into my life, I mistreated the relationship because I'm not going to allow. And that's what offense is. It's a hindrance. It's a stumbling block. It brings us back to that place. You understand? It always brings us back to that place of hurt. Always bring us back to that person who hurt us. Guess what? It's a different face, but we put that same person there, She hurt me. I'm not going to let it be done again. And the Lord can't deal with you. Because, If Shawan hurt you, and then the Lord tell you, feed Shawan. I ain't doing, I ain't doing. I mean, we stop the plan of God, and that's Satan's plan for us to stop what God has purposed us to do.
I'm going to say that it doesn't bring us back to that place. It's just that we never left that place. And it's reminding us that.
Right.
That's where you've always been. And see, that's not the stumbling block. That's the hindrance. I haven't been able to move from there.
Yes.
And
offense can hinder you to the point where years have passed and we still talking about the same thing. And that's because we stuck. But we got to get over it. For the sake of salvation, we got to get over it. And I don't think the church, the body of Christ, understand that you can't be saved and offended. It's impossible. The two don't go together. So once offense is set in, you done lost your salvation. That's why for a person to say, I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Spirit, I'm on my way to heaven. No, that the Bible says they that endure to the end. And he mean endure offense, endure somebody doing you wrong. But we often feel like we don't deserve whatever that happened to us, and it shouldn't have been us. But Jesus is asking, why not you? Why? What make you any different? I mean, we all are vessels of honor, supposedly, or vessels of dishonor. We're used in the master's hand, however he chooses to see, right? But offense is something that we have to get over. We have to. Perhaps you was abused in a relationship, or you grew up in a family. Well, they abuse you. A comment, somebody says something that hurt your feelings, because that's what we so hung up. Now you hurt my feelings. Do you know, as believers, we don't deal with feelings? The Lord don't deal with feelings. Because feelings it's not true. Your feelings are not. It's not true. It's not concrete. The Bible say, call those things that are not as though they were. I don't care how you feel. We have to get in the Bible and find out how we supposed to feel. And guess what? We have to speak that into our life. We have to speak what thus said the Lord. And not minimizing or taking away from what happened to a person in their childhood and their upbringing. But we have to let it go. The Bible says old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Even you as a new creature in Christ. Guess what? They did that to me. But Lord, you know what offense does? It causes us to not know who we are or whose we are. Because if somebody hurt you, now in your mind you thinking you deserved it. They did it. I must not be loved. But we know the Lord loves us. And that's what the spirit of offense does. I mean, it rips us from everything that we know to be true. And truth is the word, right? And we don't know who we are unless we get into the word and find out. You not whatever feeling you felt when you was abused or misused or neglected. Last night I showed them in class, I had a rat trap, because this is what the spirit of offense does. I had the sticky rat trap. And this is what Satan do to us. The trap is no harm to us, because we all know if you have a mice in your house and you lay down a rat trap, 9 times out of 10, if you don't put what on it, bait, right? If we don't put bait on it, that rat gonna pass that trap clean up. But Satan, he leave bait, and that bait is rejection. When we feel rejected, we eat the bait, right? When we feel misused, we eat the bait. When we feel like just something, anything that been done to us, like we say, religion, politics, anything that causes hurt and pain and injustice, we bite the bait. And what happens once we bite that bait that's on that trap? We become stuck. We can't move. We can't go to the next level. We're really no good for the kingdom. You done lost your salvation. When we left Bible study last night, Derek had brought up that in a definition of offense is to lose faith. And at that moment, the Lord started downloading just the revelation of that to me. You lose faith. And we're going to go there. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 24. And I want somebody to read starting at verse 3. Matthew 24, verse 3.
Matthew 24, verse 3 says, And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?
We'll stop right there. The disciples asked Jesus, tell us the signs of the end of the world, right? Because I want y'all to keep up with this. The signs of your coming and the end of the world. Keep going.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Listen, I mean, we need to listen close. Because what Jesus about to tell them, let's make sure nobody deceive you. Yeah. Yeah.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
All right. Many people gonna come saying that they are Christ. And we done saw that. We see saviors. They're not saying they Christ, but guess what? They the savior of the world. They have one man who, well, he say he's Satan, but he claimed he the savior. Now he have a big church, a mega church. He the savior. So these things that Jesus is speaking of in the end time, he's telling you to take heed. Don't let these things deceive you. We are in these times. Keep going, Derek. Verse 6.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations of my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved.
So this passage is very important because he's telling us what to do to be saved. Let's go back to verse 10 and say, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. They offended, why? Why? Verse 9 said, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and shall be hated of all, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So the disciples asked him, tell us when the end. So he's telling them in the end, all these things gonna happen. You're gonna have earthquakes, you're gonna have famines, you're gonna have the hearts of the people don't wax cold, no love in the world. Why?
Because they're getting away from God.
We looking around and we seeing what's going on, and we becoming offended. We're becoming offended that Trump is president and he done attacked Syria. We're becoming offended because we're scared of war. Now we're hearing rumors of war, and it's causing us to be offended. And once we become offended, we fall away from the faith. So if you're offended, you will not endure to the end. So when we know the word and we see these things that's going on, keep in mind that do not allow it to cause you to fall away. Don't allow it to cause you to be hindered in your walk, become a stumbling block in your walk, because you're no good.
And what Derek was saying, I was waiting until I got settled in.
Mm-hmm.
But that lack of faith, you're offended because your lack of faith is being showed. You're having to live out your faith.
Yes.
And you may get mad or whatever with God or other people or whatever it is, but you're getting mad because you think it's unfair. You're thinking God's character is not good. Why do I have to defend you? Why am I defending you? No, you're defending your faith. You're giving reason for your faith through your actions.
And see, that's something that people have an issue with now. They think because I'm, once again, it goes back to misunderstanding, being blessed. Think because I'm serving God, then I should be entitled to privileges of everything being right with me. So when I'm doing bad, I lost my job, or we don't have enough money, God is not blessing me. And it's those things that, it's the same thing with this. They're offended because I'm serving you. So what am I getting? So this shouldn't be happening if I'm serving you. But they clearly don't understand, everything that God is.
But verse 11 says, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. So while all this stuff is going on in the world, the rumors, the earthquakes, false prophets shall arise. Why? The people are hurting. False prophets come to tell you everything gonna be all right.
They're gonna
Peace.
tell you what you want to hear.
Peace is coming.
The opposite. He comes to destroy your faith.
Yes.
So why not come in a man or woman that you can see now?
Yes.
I got me a Jesus, like you said, oh, here's Christ. I have me one there.
Yes.
I can follow infallible man.
Yes.
Fallible man.
But the Bible say when somebody come teaching peace, behold sudden destruction. So when this person rise up and telling us everything is going to be all right, because most of our prophets today, that's what they are, right? They prophesy fortunes, riches, and fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they telling us everything gonna be all right, but the truth is, it's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna, and Jesus is warning you when it get worse. When it get worse, don't get offended. Don't fall away from the faith. We teach this, but it's gonna come upon a time where we're gonna have to walk it. We're gonna have to walk it out.
And the thing is, two things. I'm thinking about the peace part. And we go back to the example of what it was, South Carolina, North Carolina, where the guy went in the church and killed all the people that was in church. And people, you have leaders that are saying that, yeah, that's right. Like you just lay down and let it happen. Like, oh yeah, forgive him. Yeah, that's not in the sense of not saying that we're not supposed to forgive, but it's the peaceful approach that they set everything on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's God. Like for you to just let Satan come in and destroy you, just lay down and let it happen. And that's not God.
That's not your brother. That
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Because even when we see with Jesus, they didn't kill Jesus. Jesus laid his life down. Because if Satan would have killed him, then that meant that Satan had authority over him. And that's something that's very important to understand. But I think it's something, this is my last thing. If someone were to say, are you a Christian? Are you a believer of Christ? Are you a follower of Christ? Do you believe God? And it's saying, okay, if you say yes, then we're going to kill you. Or are you going to say, yeah, I believe God? You see what I'm saying? Because these are things that's happening in different countries. They're being killed because of their belief. So, and that's part of not being offended, to cause you to doubt his authority. What's going on? It cause you to doubt Christ's authority. You see what I'm saying?
So are we willing to lay our life down for what we believe in?
Right.
For what we we study. I mean, every day what we studying. Are we willing to lay our life down? Y'all turn to Matthew 18:7.
Matthew 18:7.
You know, we live in a world of hatred. I mean, the love that they show is not really love, and we don't expect the world to treat us how we ought to treat one another, right?
Well, it's because we don't understand love. And anybody that say the word love, we try to make it be authentic, genuine, that agape love. That's what we try to make it be. When it's not.
We have to understand the love of the world is what you can do for me.
Right.
That's how the world love. I love you because, oh, every time I see her, she give me X, Y, and Z. Or that's the world's love, and we can't fall victim to that. Right. Because when we put ourselves in those places, the Bible tells us to mark those that bring division. To mark those. We already know. If you're not a believer in Christ Jesus, you can't love.
Yeah.
And guess what? And even if you show kindness, because a lot of us get kindness and love twisted, that person still is capable of stabbing us in our back. They're capable of it. Turning face, you know? Being there for you 1 minute. And that's the world. Somebody read Matthew 18:7.
Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. So
to avoid offenses is impossible. They're gonna come. Go up to verse 6. Jesus giving you warning. This is the warning for the person that offended you.
But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
Vengeance is God's, all right? It's God's. But here in the world today, let somebody offend one of these little ones. We the church gonna fight. We the church gonna take it into our own hands to show you, guess what? You're not gonna hurt what's ours. And when we put our hands on things, all we do is eliminate the Lord. We take him out of it. So we can't become offended. And Travis, y'all who just came in late, we talking about offense and how being offended is a sin. Even if somebody rise up against you and do you harm, hurt, and danger, for you to allow offense to penetrate your heart, you're sinning. It's a sin.
It leads to sin, yeah. Because it stops you from doing what you would normally do or you should normally do. Because I'm mad with you, now you've offended me. Now, if I needed to show that love towards you, I can't do it because I'm mad at you. And that's what offense does. It keeps us from doing that.
It stops the plan of God for our life. Last night we talked about Joseph. Joseph, he didn't do anything. I mean, the Lord gave him a dream. He shared his dream with his brothers. They got offended. So what offense causes? Somebody to react and hurt you. So the brothers plotted on Joseph, and they threw him in a well. Was it a well or a pit? And took his coat that his daddy, Jacob, made for him. And that's another thing. They was jealous. And that's another bait of being offended. Jealousy. They took the coat and they brought it back home to their father and say an animal must have, because they sprinkled blood, an animal must have killed him. We didn't find him. All we found was his garment. So once they threw him in a pit, they met the Ishmaelites on the road, and Judah decided, let's sell him into slavery, because if we leave him there to die, we profit nothing. If we sell him, at least we get money for him. They sell him into slavery. He goes into Potiphar's house. Potiphar's wife want to sleep with him. He refused. She holler rape. So he go from Potiphar's house to jail. And even think, and Joseph still haven't did anything. He walking upright. He doing everything that he know to do. Right. The jail ain't like the jails that we have today. Because I hear when we was in New Orleans, they say Jefferson Parish got seafood on, or whatever, fish on Fridays. No, he was thrown into a dungeon. His feet was, they have water. I mean, just horrible. Because anybody that's in this dungeon, you there to death. There's no really coming out for you. But anyway, while he down there, the Lord blessed him to interpret a dream. He interpreted this man dream and told him, you're going to be restored to your position in Pharaoh's house. Once you get in Pharaoh's house, remember me. The man went, years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. Pharaoh couldn't find nobody to interpret his dream. So the guy that was in the dungeon with Joseph, he remembered Joseph. And years had been passed. He said, you know what? There's somebody in prison who interpret my dream. So Pharaoh said, get him. He interpreted Pharaoh's dream. And fast forward, Joseph became like second in command in Egypt. Rich, wealthy, because the Lord blessed him. But he went through all this, and guess what? Never became offended. His brothers, because of famine, the dream was it's going to be 7 years of famine. A famine in the land. Nobody had food stored up but Egypt. So everybody in the surrounding areas have to come to Egypt for food. So Jacob sent his sons, y'all go to Egypt and get us something to eat unless we die. The brothers go to Egypt. Who they encounter but the second in command in Egypt, which is their brother. They don't recognize him, he recognized them. So he could have easily been offended and said, what y'all did to me, I'm not giving y'all anything. Go back to Israel, go die, you know, and us today. But that's what a hindrance do, is stop the plan. The Lord had a plan. It was God's plan for Joseph to go to Egypt to have food to feed Israel, the 12 tribes. That was God's plan. A lot of times we don't want to take that road, but that was God's plan.
And to piggyback what she's saying, there's some things Joseph had, because we understand between Joseph and his brothers were already offended. Mm-hmm. They was offended that he was the favorite. Right there. Then they was offended that now you come in acting like you better than us. We already think that you think you better than us, so we got a problem with that. Mm-hmm. Now you gonna come and tell us, oh, we got to get rid of him. So they were already offended. But Joseph, think about, to be betrayed by his brothers, that's one offense. Then to get to Potiphar's house, you know, that's another offense because he was accused of rape. He never did anything. Yeah. Then to be in prison and to interpret the dream and say, listen, don't remember me, don't forget me now. Let him know who did. That's another time for him to be offended. Mm-hmm. So he had all of these times to be offended. And guess what? And here's another one. If we use our imagination, because, you know, we think that, you know, we get to the point like everybody know us, right? So when I see you, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people forget it. It's been a while since I saw you. They don't remember your name. Sometimes we get offended by that. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't know me now. You see what I'm saying? So when he saw his brothers didn't recognize who he was. So that was another chance that he could have been offended. But if he would have failed bait any of these times, he would have stopped. God's plan would not have been able to be done. All this was done to this man that did what? Nothing. He's sharing his dream. First of all, it wasn't his fault that his daddy liked him, favored him, made him this. That wasn't his fault. But think about it. We want to share with our loved ones. I had this dream. And you get offended because I had the dream. But people do that to us. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm going to continue doing right. You know, because I know who God is. I fear God. And because I'm doing right, I'm punished. This woman's going to accuse me of rape. I didn't do anything wrong. See, it's another time, because that's where we'll get upset and say that, well, you know, I'm doing all of this for you, God, and you going to let this happen to me? But all things work together. Yeah. And see, you got to understand, your life is not your own. Mm-hmm. God has something in place. And God done, and see, and the amazing thing is, God done gave him the dream and showed him what was going to happen. But what he didn't show him was
The road.
the rape, soul into slavery, all of these things that happened in between. And God never showed them, but he showed them the end result. And see, we have to see it like that because that's where the hope is. That guess what? Everything gonna be all right.
That's right. That's right.
Then I'm gonna make it to the other side.
I'm gonna make it to the other side, but I just gotta go through. No matter what happens here, none of this, we should see it as none of this should really matter because I'm gonna get to the other side. You see what I'm saying? But sometimes we get caught up in what's happening and it causes us, because the enemy's job is to distract us, keep us from remembering that you're gonna make it to the other side. You see?
Last night, I know you're probably going to go there, you asked us who in the Bible could have been offended. And then you talked about David. You told the story of David. And later on last night, that question was still in my mind. David could have been offended. David was offended because he took the bait when he saw Bathsheba.
Oh, on that time, yeah.
He took that bait.
Mm-hmm.
He became offended
Mm-hmm.
because he took the bait. And you did an illustration on the bait. But also, God still, through his life, or through what we know of David, that's a man after my heart. Sometimes we look back on David's story and we get that David complex. I'm like, David, God know my heart. Now, y'all should know. Y'all should know I'm David, or whatever.
But I'm gonna tell you this about David. Here's how I see it with David. David had no right to be offended because it was what David did.
Yeah.
That's what started the ball rolling. You see what I'm saying? Because he was a man after God's own heart. And God said, what are you doing? All you had to do was ask me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You did this, and then you not only did you do this, you took this man that was dedicated to you and you slept with his wife, but then you tried to cover up what you did. Now God is saying, okay, man after my own heart, I'm going to punish you. You're going to pay for that. So David did say, okay, hold on, God, look, let me do all of these things. I'm going to do all of this. I'm going to stay on my face. I'm going to fast. I'm going to do all of this because don't take my child. God said, nah, because you know better. So since you know better, guess what? Hey, you're still that man after my own heart, but guess what? And part of that process is you got to know who I am.
Yes.
And you know that I don't play.
Yes.
And so guess what? I'm going to take that child. Guess what? But our relationship going to remain the same. But because of your disobedience, I'm going to take that child. And then then think about this. Think about David's kids. David's kids were horrible. As a result of this, because David let this sin in, now your kids, the son raping the daughter, the other son killing him, all of this because of what you did. You see what I'm saying? But guess what? You still that man after my own heart now. Let's not
All the
forget.
stuff that happened to him before, God was showing him, I'm teaching you my heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know my heart. This Satan is bringing a temptation, but you can pass a test by overcoming this temptation. Don't lose your faith.
So the opportunity to be offended will come. And while y'all was talking, I was thinking of Moses. Moses got offended with the children of Israel and he struck the rock when the Lord told him to speak to the rock. And guess what? That caused him to not be able to go into the promised land. And that's what offense does. Guess what? It causes us not to be able to go into the promised land.
And that's crazy because you think about it's like God said, like the Bible said they don't reject you, they reject me. So we got to because what happens is we put ourselves in the place of God. And when we try to minister to people and give them, if they don't accept Jesus, then they don't want to talk about God, I don't believe in God. We become offended. Well, go to hell then. No, this ain't about you. You see, and that's how it was with Moses. You already know who these people are. They're horrible. You already know. God done told you. You done saw everything that they done did. But now at a certain point, you gonna get offended? How you gonna get offended after all this? They melted down all their gold and made a god to worship after God did all of that. And now you gonna become offended?
He was in faith. He went back to God. He didn't try to reason with them. He went for direction. I was angry and all that and shouldn't be doing this, but okay, let me go see what God says.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I pronounce that you are going through, 1,000 of y'all are going to die because
Right.
I'm going to create this plan.
But in our carnal mind, wouldn't we say Moses was justified? All Moses
Righteous
did.
anger.
Guess what? Moses was minding his business. When the Lord burnt that bush and told Moses, Moses was minding his business. The Lord sent Moses back to Egypt to get the children of Israel. To get Moses, he was already scared to go before Pharaoh because he knew what he had done before the reason why he fled Egypt. He had been killed, an Egyptian. He knew this. The Lord sent him back there, face Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh this. Moses said, Lord, I can't talk. I'm a man that I can't, my speech ain't right. They're going from Pharaoh. He said, I'm going to give you somebody. I'm going to give you help. Go and do what I say. He kept going. He got, okay, the Israelites was free from Pharaoh. He bring them into the wilderness or on their journey. They see the Red Sea. They fussing. Oh, you bring us out here to die? We could have died up in Egypt. At least they have burial grounds. You know, everything Moses tried, everything he did, they complained. They had something to say. They fussed. The Lord fed them manna. They wanted meat. I mean, these people was horrible. They made his life horrible.
But I'm going to say this though. See, I could say that the children of Israel, they was ignorant, right? Now Moses, what done happened is God done came and grabbed him and told him who he really was. I done changed you. I done turned you into a totally different person. I done gave you hope. I done gave you wisdom. I done gave you a hope, and I filled you with my presence. So you and I, we got this. We're having this. You know, now it's you and I. So if they don't know who it is, you definitely know who I am. Because guess what? I done showed all of these things that you done saw that I've done. You should be like, oh yeah, or I can attest. So therefore, whatever he says, do. Unlike them in their ignorance, you know what I'm saying? You don't. Oh, here we go. You're doing this one. Oh, look at us. See what we're gonna do now. And Moses is the one that's keep on. The miracles are coming through like they're coming through Moses. You know what I'm saying? But Moses know where the miracles are coming from. All these different the plagues and stuff like that. These powers that God is giving him. So therefore, you know what it is. You see what I'm saying? You already know. And then God talking to him saying, "Hey, man, these people crazy." So you already know. So you don't have a reason. That's why I say, even with David, with Moses, too much is given, much is required. So God is his law is his law with them. I'm not gonna play with you because you know better.
No, but keep in mind that when the Lord wanted to destroy the Israelites, and Moses went on their behalf,
right,
and was like, Lord, don't kill them, because the people gonna say he brought these people out here to kill them. Moses pleaded for their life. Moses went beyond. I mean, for them to keep doing what they doing, the Lord told Moses, speak to the rock. He struck the rock out of frustration. But we would say he's justified. Why? Because sometimes we get overwhelmed. But guess what? To be offended is a sin. And that's what we need to understand. I don't care what Moses did and what Moses went through. When he allowed offense to penetrate his heart, he was out the faith.
And you know what I'm saying? You said about pride. Part of the offense is connected to pride. But that's exactly what it is. Because Moses, see, representing them, he went from, I'm like them. Mm-hmm. I'm connecting with them. Come on, God, don't. When he got offended, he became distant from them. Like, how dare y'all? You see what I'm saying? See how that offense caused you to switch positions? Well.
And that's like, I know all of us have been through something. Somebody done did something they had no business doing to us, so we felt like an injustice was done. But I'm telling you, you don't want to live your life keeping the laws and doing what you done read in the Bible. He told you to flee fornication. He told you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal. You kept all that. But your sin is you never forgave your brother or your sister. And I mean, I don't care how far it go back. Let's read, Teresa, give Matthew 18, verse 15 through 17. We have to forgive. We have to fight. We have to combat the bait of Satan.
So I was reading for you. Now you're gonna get Teresa to read for you.
Amen.
But this one, okay.
Moreover.
Offense can be that simple though.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
And I just
Don't worry about it. No, just go ahead.
You done left the faith? Let me know.
Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican.
If you have aught with your brother, that's what we're talking about. If you have an issue with your brother, verse 15 say, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. Jesus is giving us the steps on how to reconcile our differences. If you have a problem between your brother, and we have to keep in mind, we're talking about the word is for who? The children of God. That's what we talk. If you have a problem with your brother or your sister, he said, go to him. First, you go to that brother or that sister and you tell him what they did to offend you, why you feel hurt. And he said, if that brother don't hear you, go get 2. Take a witness. Go get 2 witnesses and go back to that brother and let him know, with a witness there, you hurt me. And if they tell you again, if they refuse to hear you, he said, go. Jesus said, then go tell it to the church. So once the church get involved, the leaders get involved and sit him down and say, you did X, Y, and Z to brother so-and-so. And if he still don't hear you, what verse 17 say, Teresa?
And if he neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican.
He said, treat him like a heathen. You know why? Because that brother who refused to forgive, he done left the faith. He done left the faith. Treat him as a heathen. And because it's serious. And his fruit shows he's not a brother, right? Because even in our prayer, what we say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We saying, Lord, forgive me, because I know I did wrong. But while you forgiving me, I'm going to forgive that person that wronged me. I mean, we can't get, you won't get to heaven. You won't get to eternal life with unforgiveness in your heart. And we know the closer the relationship, the more severe the offense is, right?
More personal it is, yeah.
And that's
The
why
person that's closer to you.
the false teachers can get in. That's why we look at the movie, because it can keep you stuck on your hinges, on their success, on your being a hindrance. People. We have our all things where we'll blame the victim and all that, but if that's what we're stuck on, we're going to hear that. And we're going to hear how God is taking care of you and how he's compassionate. We're going to go to those churches that are going to just teach that.
And you know what? There are 2 people that we automatically give a pass to. That's our loved ones and friends. We automatically give them a pass. We let our guards down around them. That's why when they hurt us, it hurts so bad. Then the other is anybody that comes in the name of God.
Yeah.
We let our guards down because they said God. So we allow them to hurt us, not because we're not looking at the fruit. Just because they say God, just because they say friend, just because they say I love you, oh, come on, they're on my side.
But let me show you how the church capitalize off of people that been hurt. You come in the church and you tell them, you're a girl, your mama gave you up, your mama didn't She wasn't a parent to you. So now I'm gonna be your mother. Start calling me mama. But instead of us healing that relationship and walking them through their deliverance and teaching them, the Bible said that He gave us the ministry of reconciliation. We're not gonna reconcile this relationship. I'ma just take her place.
Right. And that's not right.
But we keep offense in her heart. We never teach her how to get loose from offense. Keep hating her. I'm gonna be your mama. Eddie Long was able to molest all them boys, and I heard their stories, and guess what? They didn't have a daddy. He became their daddy. That's how false prophets ease in. That's how wolfing in sheep clothing ease in. Instead of us dealing with their problem, guess what? I'm not trying to take your mama place. I want to help that relationship. If she's a believer and you're a believer, I want to help reconcile that relationship. I want to show you that spirit that you carry is not of God. So we got to loose it. We got to get rid of it. But that's not what the church teach. I've been in church so many years, and guess what? Nobody never told me you can't walk around with offense in your heart because it's a sin. It'll keep you from making it in.
I was going to say, when you have offense in your heart and you're in Christ, you think, like you're saying, you still have that offense, you don't know because your mama is just nurturing you, your spiritual mom or whoever has taken that place. You can be of no effect. How are you going to go out and make disciples? You're going to reproduce your own kind. That's the tree bearing fruit after its own kind.
Yes.
And you're frustrated and offended.
Right.
Now, anything that happens, that's a reminder. It's going to create the bomb. That's going to light the fuse, and it's going to blow up. So here you are supposed to be ministering to somebody that's done the same thing that how you were victimized. That culprit is like the same culprit that you're trying to minister to. You can't, because there's a blockage here. And I'm mad. Oh, I know who you are. So now, really, it's nothing about you. It's about what was done to me. So I'm I'm mad, I'm upset with my culprit, but I made you become that culprit. So now I can't be effective because of what was happening in me. And that's why offense is so important, because it puts up that block. And now, instead of me going through, because we understand that communication solves everything. You know, if I can be able to resolve whatever my issue is, and we can talk about it, because a lot of times it's as simple as you have to realize how many things are simple. Most of the time it's a misunderstanding, but we no longer have a relationship. Oh, I'm upset with you, and even that relationship has messed me up going forward because of what was done on a misunderstanding. Because in our mind, we see things differently. We don't always see the truth. We see it from our aspect, and which is, you wronged me. I don't see what I did. I just know you wronged me. You know, but I'm blaming you for whatever happened.
And the Bible teaches us, if we bring our gift to the altar and we remember that our brother have aught against us, to lay your gift down. Say, don't even give it. Don't even offer your gift. Go get it right. But we don't teach that. Because guess what? I want your gift. Whatever it is you have, I don't care what you have going on in your life, who you have aught against, just bring your gift into the house. And that's how we are. But Jesus was teaching us how to do it. Go to that brother. Go to him. Well, they went 3 times. You went by yourself, you brought a witness, and then you got the church. Peter asked. But if that person keep on, somebody reads verse 21 and 22 from here. And Matthew 18. If I'm going to have yours, Teresa.
Well, go ahead. You won. My battery's dead.
Matthew 18?
No.
She got a dead battery.
Verse 22 and 21.
22 and
21 and 22.
All right. Matthew 18, 21, 22. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
You want to add something?
No.
Peter said, how many times? If he'll offend me 7 times, if he sinned against me 7 times, right? The number of completion. Jesus said, no, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. So as long as a brother or sister repent, we ought to forgive. We ought to forgive.
And you know what? I'm sitting there because a lot of stuff is coming to me. With this Jesus and what Jesus was doing, he was preparing for it, because you know, like they say, that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and offense creates a weak link. Offense not only creates a weak link, but it creates a separation. So if there starts to be separation inside the body, then guess what? We're gonna have a problem, because the love is not going to be able to flow. And Jesus is preparing for them. Let me get rid of this. Let me show you. Don't be offended with your brother. Can't do that. You know, forgive them, because it's the Christ in them that it's what we're trusting. You know, because all we said now, if they keep on doing it and they ain't trying to hear you, then they're not, they don't meet the requirements to be your brother. So, don't waste time on this, and they're not your brother. Get him out there. He's a heathen. He's not following me anyway. Because if he was following me, then it wouldn't be that hard for him to forgive you.
And Jesus empowered us with his wisdom. He empowered them with their wisdom while he was there. We are empowered by the same spirit that he worked in. I'm just going back to the false teachers. They're work like the police that go reactively. You went through all of this, this is how you could have fixed it. This. So you're always doing wrong. You're like, I wish I would have known. You're never being empowered with knowledge or, by the Spirit. So you're working with nothing by depending on somebody you can see.
I want to read Psalms 55, verse 12 through 14, but I'm going to read it out the Good News Bible. And
what is it?
Psalms 55, verse 12 through 14, out the Good News Bible. And this is David. He said, if it were an enemy making fun of me, I could endure it. If it were an opponent boasting over me, I could hide myself from him. But it was you, my companion, my colleague, and close friend. We had intimate talks with each other and worshiped together in the temple.
See,
that's a hard pill to swallow. Somebody that was that close. And just like we said, the closer the person, the more severe the offense is. And I think it hurt more that I took that person into my heart. I took that person in, and they betrayed me.
I think too, we start to see it as you really mean it, because it's like somebody on the outside, if they call, let's say, say you ugly, like whatever, you might say something to them, but if Solana called me ugly, I start taking it like, okay, she really mean I'm ugly. Am I ugly? Like you said. So that's how you start to see it, because she's on the inside. She ain't gonna just lie to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to confess, I have lived that verse where, so David is like, because you're close, you hurt me. So guess what? I'm gonna build a wall. No, I'm already still offended on something.
Right.
So that's ignorance, not knowing that you're offended of something. But then once you start acting it out, God will show you you're doing all of this. You built a wall. You won't let people in because you don't want to be offended, but you're already offended.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes sometimes it has to take that other brother or sister to come in and show you where you're offended, because like I said, because my mind, I can make my mind believe whatever. If I put it here, that's what's going on, and there's nothing that you can tell me, because you wronged me. I don't want to hear it because
somebody else did.
Exactly. So that's why you need somebody else to come and say, well, what actually happened? Right.
The home is meant to be a shelter of protection, provision, and growth, where we learn to give and receive love. But the truth is, it is often the very root of our pain. Because that's what a lot of time rejection, or we have the parents that show favoritism, and because you favor a child, the other kids begin to hate that child, you know.
Sickly child.
And that's why a lot of our pain, this spirit, we open our kids up to this spirit. And guess what? It could be vice versa. You could have a child that you give everything to. I mean, that child do no wrong in your sight. That child grow up and they feel entitlement. But get into the real world, get into school, and guess what? They don't treat them that way in school. So a spirit of offense creep in because they feel like the pride makes them think, you should do this for me. You should give me this, because that's all they know. And I mean, we have to watch how we rear our children. You have people but we have adults, grown children, 40, 50 years old, and guess what? We still holding on to pain that didn't happen to us when we was 2. You headed to hell. You gotta let it go. You gotta forgive. I'm telling you. But the Bible tells us to guard our hearts. God, and I ain't talking about guard this heart. Guard this. When negativity, when something that comes against you that you know ain't right, maybe as a child you didn't know it wasn't right, but as an adult you could say, she shouldn't have did this to me, or he shouldn't have did this to me, or Uncle so-and-so touched me and I know that's not right. As an adult, guess what? I'm a free Uncle so-and-so from this prison. I know he wronged me, and if I can press charges, I'm going to press charges and do whatever, but I'm not going to allow it to hold me there. I'm going to move forward. And guess what? Now use it as a stepping stone. I'm going to start teaching others how to protect themselves. Not stay, because what we do is we build this wall around us. We let nobody in and ain't nobody coming out. I'm going to stay here. And if I build a wall around me, that's like if I offended you and you build a wall around me, and then I come and say, I got a book for you to read. First thing you say, I don't want no book from you. You better not give me nothing. That it keep us from getting what the Lord have for us, this wall that we build. And we think we building a prison for somebody else, but really what we're doing is building a prison for ourselves. We're imprisoning ourselves. And then it's hard to even deal with a person who deal with the spirit of offense, because you got to watch how you talk to them. You got to handle them delicate. I mean, you have to tiptoe around that person.
And you don't even know what healthy boundaries are.
Yes. Yes.
So that's another reason the person, they don't know what the healthy boundary is, so everything is an offense.
Yes. Even a person who don't understand love, if you try, I ain't have nothing to do with you being hurt as a child, but you can't even accept the love I give you as an adult, because you done been hurt so. I can't even love you right, because we have to go back to that place. We have to go back to that place. I mean, and all of us done dealt with it. Like I said in the beginning, if you never offended somebody, you done been offended. Or you done did like me, I done did both. I done offended and I done been offended. But it's time to release those people.
And you know what else is amazing? I remember Solanda telling me, because, I joke a lot, right? And I remember Solana said things that I said to her, and I was like, I didn't know that offended you, because I'm thinking that because I know I'm clowning, you should take it as I'm clowning. And what was amazing, Solana told me something about a friend of mine. We've been friends for, I'm going to give you 2 events. One, I was in the military with a guy, so I've been out the military 21 years. I was in the military with this guy, and when he saw me, I saw him here, and I'm like, man, what's up? We talking blah, blah, blah. And the first thing he told me, man, I remember you told me such and such. And I started laughing, but he wasn't laughing. And so then I'm like, we grown men, how are you offended by something that happened, 25 years ago? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But guess what? It had to think about how much this had to be on his mind, that you haven't seen me in 20 years, and the first thing you remember is some insult that I said. You see? And to me, it was still a joke. But to him, apparently, it wasn't. Then there was my friend that called me, and we were on the phone, and he was like, man, sometimes, because Solana was telling me, because every time we talk, we barely talk, but when we talk, it's like, I see it as,
Offended him.
no, I see it as, sometimes, people that rib and crack jokes, I see it sometimes, they'll start. So to me, I thought he was calling and getting his joke in. So I would cut him low again. And Solana say, that boy don't want to play with you like that, blah, blah, blah. He's offended. Blah, blah. I'm like, man, he's in his 40s, blah, 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 blah. So one day he got on the phone, he told me, he's like, man, you ever thought about blah, blah, and he told me that I offended him. And I said, well, I'm sorry, why didn't you say something? But what he was trying to do when he would call me, he would try to say something to insult me, and it'll never work because I would get him again. You see what I'm saying? And this is why we have to, you have to be careful, because everybody is not going to be at a place of saying, you hurt my feeling, because especially with men, we take it as a sign of weakness. That's a sign of weakness for me to admit that you got me. You see what I'm saying? And then think about how insensitive I am to even when they're trying to tell me what was wrong, I get them again. You see, so now you mad at all other times. Now you really, I guess, I don't see how, if you see me, it wouldn't get physical.
Like when they put on shoulder pads.
Yeah, you know.
Put on shoulder pads.
And I'm telling him, sitting and listening to him talk to a grown man, and Derek is like a child. When you start playing with a child and you say stop, and they don't stop, and they keep on, and you getting mad like, look, child, I said stop, and he keep on. That's how Derek is. And I told Derek, I said, you playing, but you hurting his feelings. Derek like, man, that boy, 47 years old, I'm not hurting his feelings. He called one day and he told Derek, you hurting my feelings. And I said, Derek, I told you. And we have to be careful not to offend. Not to, we have to be careful even in our joking and our playing, and never get the spirit of, I don't care how they feel, that's them. They grown. Never.
It's humor, you just can't use humor because it benefits you. If you ain't really, I'm not saying you're not funny. If you're not really funny.
I'm funny.
Because, I use humor a lot of times, but I use it, I found out when I'm using it wrong, just like how you found it out.
But you know what else I found out? I found out that, when I grew up, we didn't have money. We was poor, and I was jacked up. So I realized that my jokes and stuff, I had a sense of humor, but that's how I kept people off me.
Yes.
So, and it became, I was like offensive, it's like, if you say something, I'm going to make you pay for it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But I give you one, you're going to get yours in earlier. But me, when I come up, I'm letting you have it, because you see what I'm saying? And this is my last thing, because I remember one day we was on Facebook, and somebody posted a yearbook picture, and I saw me in the picture. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I just went to attacking everybody that was on the picture. And then finally somebody said, oh, you got some nerves. But I was like, I had got mine, and it kind of distracted them for a while.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah.
And that's what offense do. Just like I said, it's a trigger. You just start shooting. And even as a child, because he grew up in lack, without, it caused him to,
Feel exposed.
yes, and now he have to get these bullets ready for whoever. The people on the picture didn't even tell him anything, but he started with them. And that's what the spirit of offense does. It causes us to just start popping off, hurting anybody that come close to us, we just start hurting them.
Like that man who killed that man was saying all his life, he had to protect himself
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
yeah. Like the man that killed the man on
He killed
Facebook.
the old man.
Yeah.
And when he was talking, he was saying all his life he had to protect himself. And I went to his mama telling her, I guess he had issues and nobody wanted to talk to him. And then he was saying, I'm a social worker. I talk to everybody who will be there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And who will talk to me.
And you know what else was amazing about that? He said, even yesterday with the man I killed, they're on here talking about, is it real? So he felt like all of that was disrespecting him. He felt like people wasn't taking him for serious. Wasn't taking him seriously. So that's crazy that, you know, but like I said, the mind is powerful.
So did
You know?
he broadcast a lot before he even does this?
Yeah, he
He showed a
showed.
lot of stuff before he started.
He
going
talked.
around.
He talked after and before, and he talked after. And after he killed him, he put up, the different videos talking. He was just saying that, he had been through a lot in his life. And that's what I was telling somebody at work. He has kind of not facts first, but that's what one of the guys in there said, like, nah, and I'm sitting there telling him, like, he's not, never said he was right for killing the man. He did him wrong. I said, but a lot of times people have issues and nobody addresses them. I said, he's a social worker, but like he said, I'm talking to people who helping me. I said, he had a problem, and then he just found out that boy had a problem because you guys fired.
So with all this murder suicide that's going on, these people are they're putting this block up in their mind, and that's why all this murder suicide.
You know that a lot of times people go, you see the signs, people come and want to talk or something. Like I said, some people brush them off. Some parents, children, they go something, they don't want to talk, they don't want to.
How you upset by that? That happened 20 years ago.
You know
Let
what
it
I'm
go.
saying?
And here's the story.
And then we feel like as parents, you children. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no problems, you ain't got no bills, what you worry about? Don't come to me with that. We don't know what could be affecting them at what point.
But you know what? Sometimes we don't know how to get the problem resolved, and we're just reacting. Not reacting. Well, yeah, we're just reacting to what's going on, and we're just acting out. And a lot of times, you think about this. The difference between women and men is a lot of times they say women talk a lot, so they can argue forever. Whereas men, when we get to a point where there's no communication, it gets physical. You see what I'm saying? And that's normally what happens when I can't get it out. I don't know how to communicate. It turns violent.
Yeah, so we know offense is a sin, right? And we need to keep ourselves free from the spirit of offense. But don't get it twisted. We can still be upset and angry. Ephesians 4:26 say, "Be ye angry, but sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath." God give us a time frame. Because he knows some things gonna occur that causes you to get, angry, upset, but we have to know how to deal with it. And we don't deal with it according to how the world say, how the books say deal with it. We deal with it according to how the word say. And Jesus told us how to deal with it. You go to that brother. Don't get on the phone and call me and tell me, sister so-and-so did you
Make it
whatever.
worse.
Go to that brother, and when that brother reject you, then come get me. And we're going to go together. It's power in numbers. We're going to go together.
I was sitting here this whole time thinking about that scripture. Be angry and
Yeah.
sin not. But also in Ecclesiastes, the Bible talks about it being a time for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Time for war, time for peace.
Yes,
Right.
yes. So we need to rid ourselves from offense because
And when you get angry, when you step over the line, you start crossing the times. The line, that time for everything starts to become blurred. Now, where it was the time of peace, you created something else in that moment of peace.
Exactly.
So and all of that is what leads to the sin, and you create something bigger than what should be.
So when Yeshua, what you guys call Jesus, when he went into the temple and he overturned tables, did he sin?
No, he didn't
No.
sin. Right. And see that talks about that time, because he was angry because what are you doing in the guy's house?
That's right.
What you see what I'm saying? And that's why it was time for some, because there are times when you have to step up and say, hey, look, stop it. Look, let me let you know, because sometimes you ever talk to somebody nicely and they start taking your kindness for a weakness, and then you got to get, okay, listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you where to get off at. This is gonna stop right now. And then they change it. I'm not gonna say that.
somebody get Romans 16 and 17. And it's going to tell us about that person that causes that division of. It's Romans 16 and 17, verse 17.
Romans 16 and
Verse 17.
17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
And that's what was going on in the temple. What they was doing was contrary to doctrine that we learned, that was being taught.
17.
And the Bible say, mark them. And for us to avoid those people. Anybody that's contrary to the word of God, that's preaching or call itself teaching the word and it's contrary. He said, mark them. That causes division or offense contrary to doctrine.
But it's important that you know the truth first.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you can't mark nobody else if you don't know the truth. Because what happens is just like with me. I come teaching what the Bible's saying because you got something different or we wasn't taught like that. It becomes, oh, okay, now we don't want to hear what he got to say. You crazy. You see, and that's the part of the offense too. They get offended. And even when I show them, because they're offended with me, it causes that stumbling block. Now they reject it because it's created a conflict in their mind.
They can't hear.
I can't hear it. I'm looking at it. I'm hearing him, but I was taught this. You know,
Offended with everybody.
Right.
Because you can't hear from God.
that's
You
right.
go to the next person, you find something wrong with their word that they teach it, but you don't know the word. Remember, you go on there to learn instead of you studying your word and then go to, edify the body. So you just offended with anything that's with God.
And that's the world we live in. Everything, I don't care what it is, we offended by everything that goes on. I mean, and it's a trap. It's a trap. Bait of Satan, Offense is the bait of Satan. Calls us, and I mean, it's such a subtle sin.
Offended with everybody else's sin too.
But it's settled because
Settles in.
because a lot of times we feel justified in turning our back on the brother or sister, not dealing with them no more. We feel justified because I know there's some people that I can name and I can tell you why I have no reason dealing with those people. But I mean, they're my enemy. They're not the enemy of God. I can't turn my back on them. And that's what we have to understand. Your enemy is not God's enemy.
That's something that's important now.
Say it again.
Your enemy. Because I offend you and you mad at me, that don't mean God mad at me and he done stop dealing with me. So the Lord can tell you, bless me, and you so mad at me, you won't do what he said.
Right. And that's something that's because you know what? We've come to a point in our human nature is to make that first person that we meet represent a whole. So if the first white person that we met wronged us, we say what? White people are bad.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But you got to learn to separate. Like I said, you go back to God and Satan. You got to learn that's the division. You either on God's side or Satan's side. Because like you said, you look at Jesus came. You look at like Judah. Okay, Judah prays. You know what I'm saying? This is one of your best out of the 12 tribes. This is a elite tribe. You know what I'm saying? As far as their heritage and stuff. But think about this. Judah was the one that sold Joseph into slavery.
Yes.
So suppose you say, oh, Judah, I don't like the tribe of Judah. Then what are you saying as a result of that? You see what I'm saying? You got to understand how to separate, one from being representative. That's very important.
Nathaniel the prophet, the apostle, he said, can anything come out of Nazareth?
Anything
So he
good.
had that Judah, anything come out.
Yeah. So think about it. You gotta be able to separate, that person from everybody else and not make that person represent, because you think about this, even if you met 7 people from whatever that sect is, that still is not an accurate, representation of millions. You understand?
Yeah.
So
Joseph told his brothers, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Because he understood his purpose and his plan. And that's what we have to start looking at stuff. You hurt me and you meant it for evil. You probably wanted to kill me. You probably was ready for me to die and get out of your life. You meant whatever you did to me for evil. But the Lord had another plan and purpose for me. His plan was for me to, do whatever it is that I'm supposed to do. And I think we have to hold fast. Y'all, we're going to run through these questions because it's a guideline to help you deal with strife and offense. And I'm telling you, if you use it, it's good. It'll help you when you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you hurting or somebody done hurt you.
I didn't get one of those questions.
Give them a sheet. Proverbs 15:1. Derek, get
Oh,
it.
is it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I was sitting there saying,
I thought these were scriptures on.
Come on, we're gonna run through it in Proverbs 15:1.
okay, so where you want me to go?
Proverbs 15:1.
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
So the question was, what kind of words can we use to avoid conflict? A soft,
Soft words.
yeah, soft
answers,
words.
yeah.
Watch how you say, because something so simple. Somebody asks you something and you answer them rough, and it turn into something. Because I mean, this is always. It turned into something. Go somewhere it shouldn't have never went because the way you answered.
No, when your attitude bad, that's how it is.
Don't make eye contact.
Give me
Right.
Proverbs 17:9, but in the Amplified.
Proverbs 17:9
Yes.
in the Amplified. Okay.
What can we do to promote love when a potential conflict arises?
He who covers and forgives an offense seeks love, but he who repeats or gossips a matter separates intimate friends.
So we can cover and forgive. 3, stay in the Amplified. Go down to verse 14.
Verse 14 says,
What does the author of Proverbs compare the beginning of strife to?
the beginning of strife is like letting out water as from a small break in a dam. First it trickles and then it gushes. Therefore abandon the quarrel before it breaks out and tempers explode.
So he compares the beginning of strife to a breaking dam. Is it easily fixed?
No.
What advice does he give? Abandon the quarrel.
Abandon it, yeah.
Yes. Number 6, give me Proverbs 19:11.
You want that in amplified?
In King James.
Okay.
What benefit does overlooking an offense achieve?
The discretion of a man differs
Defer.
his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression.
So the benefit is glory and honor. What does the author call those who get into fights and arguments? In Proverbs 20:3.
It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling.
So he called him a fool. A person that gets into fights and arguments is a fool. Number 8, how does Paul command us to live? Romans 12, verse 17 and 18.
Recompense that no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in his sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lied in you, live peaceably with all men.
So Paul recommends that we live, if possible, to live in peace. Romans 16 and 17. What type of people should we avoid? Darryl.
Now I beseech you, brother, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, to the doctrine, which ye have learned, and avoid them.
So the people that we should avoid are those who cause divisions and offenses, contrary to doctrine. Number 10, how should we handle anger? Ephesians 4, verse 31 and 32. How should we handle anger?
Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, had forgiven you.
So we need to get rid of it. Point blank. Period. Get rid of it. Number 11, when facing potential conflicts, what warning from Paul should we remember? Ephesians 6 and 12.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
So we should remember that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, right? So when that person come against you, we ain't gonna kill the flesh or beat the flesh. We gonna cast that spirit out that person, right?
That's right.
We gonna deal with the spirit that's in that person.
That's right.
And that's why a lot of times we walk around here and we hate on one another. I hate you, but no. I hate that spirit that's in you.
Exactly.
That's causing you to do the things that you do.
That's right.
And that's what we need to deal with.
Amen.
Number 12. What practice does Paul say will increase our knowledge and discernment? That's Philippians 1, verse 9 and 10. You got it,
And
Eric?
this I pray, that your love may abound yet more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be
Sincere.
sincere and without offense till the day of Christ.
Offense. Oh, so our love should increase. Number 13, and as our knowledge and discernment grows, what will be the end result? The answer is in that same verse. That you may approve things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ. Number 14, what behaviors can we refrain from that will set us apart from the rest of the world? Philippians 2, verse 14 and 15.
Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world.
So what behaviors set us apart? What we should refrain from?
Murmurings.
Murmuring and disputing. What should we do when we have a grievance against anyone? Colossians 3 and 13.
Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye.
What's forbearing mean?
Patience.
Yeah.
Be patient and forgive.
Yeah.
Fruit of the spirit. It's a fruit of the spirit.
What's
No.
that?
Forbearance, long-suffering.
Okay.
16. When dealing with those who disagree with us, what should we do instead of arguing with them? 2 Timothy 2, verse 23 through 26.
Verse what?
2 Timothy
Verse
2.
what?
23 through 26.
But foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strifes. And the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, in meekness instructing those that oppose themselves, if God peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will.
So instead of arguing, we ought to be gentle unto all men. Must not strive, apt to teach, and patient. 17, it's coming from James 4 and 11. Should you grumble, speak evil, or judge our fellow Christians? Well, we already know that's no, right?
Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother and judgeth his brother, speak evil of the law and judgeth the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge.
Amen. What should we do instead? What does Paul say in Romans 14 and 19?
Let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace and things wherewith one may edify.
Amen.
Yeah, so we ought to follow after the things which make for peace and the things that edifies. right? What will cover the faults and sins of others? 1 Peter 4:8. What will cover the faults and sins of others?
And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
So love. Y'all have anything y'all want to add? Any questions? Any thing you don't understand?
One thing you pointed out last night was Matthew 24:13, that our salvation depends on it.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he that endures to the end shall be saved.
Yes. So we have to know, and you know what? And I want everybody to even think back, go back down memory lane. A person that you offended, ask the Lord to forgive you. Because David said, you and you alone have I sinned against. And he was talking to the Lord. Because when we sin against one another, we sin against the Lord. Go back down memory lane and ask the Lord to show you who you offended. And if possible, if you can reach out to that person, reach out and apologize. You don't want to call yourself a believer in the gospel. So you do what the word tells us to do. If anybody offended you or mistreated you, any injustice was done, guess what? Release them. Release them. And how we know we release them, when we sit down and talk about them, we don't have to curse them. We don't have to use language that ain't, godly towards them. If they come in our area, we don't have to get all these emotions bubbling up on the inside of, because that's hatred. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care how you smooth it over. It's time for us to start dealing with us. The Bible says, let a man examine himself. Because our walk is in vain. It don't make no sense for us to gather, for us to study together, even for you to open your own Bible in your house when you're not doing what it says. Loose yourself. I put on Facebook last night, forgive so you can sleep better. Forgive so you can sleep better. Release that person in yourself. Who are you to build a prison for somebody else?
And really, you're building it for yourself.
And what you're doing is making yourself God.
Right.
You're making yourself, so now since you done made yourself God, you become an enemy of the real God. So, it's not worth it. Free them, release them. I'm not saying that person that done molested you for you. Just in your mind and in your heart, free them. You don't have to go and have dinner with those people, but free them. Let them go. And pray that they get their life right. They come to the belief, and who the Lord is and what he expects from us.
And we have to move past the fear of doing it God's way. If I offended somebody, he's provided that opportunity, or until he provides that opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't allow lack of faith, that which is fear, doubt, all of that. Don't allow that to overtake your faith while you're waiting or while you gotta go.
But you know what? Even the fear and all of that is not God. That's still the enemy that is using, that's putting that in you.
That's right.
Because God doesn't give us fear.
Right. That's right.
So
Power.
yeah, that's something that's
Fear
very
is not an
important.
excuse. It is what it is. It is you are being taken captive. You're not loved. You're not loved perfectly.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah, and the
walk
Bible
between
say
you and
perfect
God.
Fear.
love cast out all fear.
Was
Fear
that you
has
that?
torment.
Was that you that said fear is acknowledging the enemy's power? Have you ever heard that?
No, it wasn't me. But yeah.
Yeah, fear, and basically,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging the enemy's power. You know what I'm saying? When
Right.
you acknowledge what you have. You know what I'm saying? Greater is He.
They
Right.
say me, yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
Because we understand that fear paralyzes us. And because I'm not afraid, but guess what? If I become afraid of something,
Yeah.
then what it'll cause me to do, instead of me being Derek that's gonna stand there and fight, fear caused me to run.
right.
Fear caused me to leave Samanda. You see what I'm saying? Where any other time I'm gonna protect her and defend her.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid it's gonna make me do it, I'm not gonna have that sound mind.
That sound mind, yeah.
And most of the things that we are afraid of, it never even manifests. So it's just something that guides you just in case.
Yeah, that's real.
So think about that.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah.
So let us pray. Father God, we thank you for today. We thank you for your word going forward. We pray that lives are being changed.